At night, when you go to bed or in those rare moments of stillness, you sometimes wonder, what could I be doing differently to make things better? Today in this video, we will be talking about this movie called Everything Everywhere All at Once. Now, it starts pretty weird. It starts with a reflection of a family in the mirror. Now, in that reflection, you can see that there is so much love and compassion for one another. But you also see that with time, that love, that compassion kind of takes a back seat, other things take priority. Slowly you will get to see that there are no more attempts to make each other believe of that love, to remind each other of that love. After all, we live in a busy world and our lives are pretty busy. There are other things, other more important things to take care of. And yes, sometimes the most important things in our lives do take a backseat. Without any further ado, let's just start with the plot of the movie. It starts with a Chinese family, a family in which there is a couple and they have their teenage daughter. They also have the woman's father living with them. Now, just like any other family, there is business to run, there is family obligations to take care of. In this family, everything seems normal for a household. You see everyone being busy in their jobs and they have things to take care of. And when you are seeing this on screen, you realize that even though everything is normal and everything seems to be exactly the way it's supposed to be, you see that everything is just a big mess. You understand that even though this is what we call our regular old normal life, this is a bit too much. When you see these things happening on screen, you also understand that there is so much happening at the same time, and keeping sanity in those moments is really tough. It's almost impossible. But then again, people do it all the time. It's what we call our regular normal lives. Anyway, let's move on with the story. After a while, you see the husband showing and you see weird things happening, and you are like, what exactly is happening? You don't really understand what's happening. But then you start rationalizing yourself, like maybe this is a pretty stressful situation the family is in. There is a lot of things to take care of. So it makes sense if the wife, her name is Evelyn, if she is imagining things, if she's seeing things herself. So that's what you think at first. You see the husband becoming a whole different personality and you are like, okay, now it's a bit hard to wrap your head around, because now you are not seeing something happening on earth. You understand that this movie is not going to be something on the earth. It's going to be rather interdimensional. So you still have your doubts, but then you start seeing that these things are not only experienced by the wife, the lady Evelyn, but also other people as well. So now you realize that she's not imagining this. Of course, she's not imagining this. It's all happening in real time, and people other than her are seeing this too. Slowly, Evelyn starts learning that this person that her husband turns into or becomes this whole another personality, this is actually the result of her husband from another dimension accessing her husband from this dimension. So she understands that she is being approached to help them with something. Basically, there is this multidimensional being, a being that only wants to uprise chaos and destroy everything. So in order to defeat that multidimensional being, they need Evelyn's help. Now this chaos is quite literal, I felt, because no matter which world you live in, there is always a way into chaos. I mean, there is order, of course, but then these two almost always coexist. And it's kind of symbolic to the daily chaos that we live in. I mean, there is systems, there is order, but then there is also a bit of chaos inside us. And I think this multidimensional being represents that chaos. With time, you come to understand that this multidimensional being is actually Joy, Evelyn's daughter, and she has created this ball of nothingness, or rather a bagel. Her attempts to stop her and her people goes in vain, and just when she is about to lose all hope, she is reminded of something that is the reason why she would put up with everything. Now this movie has a lot of bizarre rules, and when you see them you are bound to have a good laugh. because they are just so unexpected. It's weird, it's bizarre, it's really strange, but oddly enough, it's kind of entertaining. The story is grappling enough to keep you going, but despite all of this, like messy things, you still want to see what happens because you can understand the message. There came a time in the movie when I was crying, like literally crying, and I mean, please don't judge me because I was having a particularly bad day that day. So please don't judge me, but really, it is a good movie. It's all that you see and feel in your everyday life, but then it's strange enough to make sense of it all. What I mean to say is that there is so much uncanny resemblance between this movie and real life, but still it's odd and strange. So you may not be able to see that directly. It's way beyond just humorous and kind of oddly personal. Now, I'm not sure if I'm the only one that feels this way, but I guess I am, but it's really a genuinely good movie. The expression of different universes and possibilities, this is again a sign of unbelievably talented writing and screenplay, because you may not accept this, but every decision we make leads to a new us, a new version of us. First, you see the everything part, which is overwhelmingly familiar and in a way normal, because this is what everyday life looks like. I mean, even though in this movie we get to be the third person and see everything happening on a screen, so it's easy to realize, but in our everyday life, the subtle realization is always there. It's not as pressing or not as attention seeking, but it's always there. You realize just how messy things are. The message of the movie again is something that makes it so personal because, like I said, it's terribly personal. Now I know I've been using this word personal for quite a few times, but if I say any more about it and replace that word, start replacing that word, I'll be ruining stuff for you, and I don't really want that. And I was literally crying, and I don't remember the last time I did that. I mean, of course, I do remember the last time that happened, but what I mean to say is that it doesn't happen very often. In precisely 1 hour into the movie, you actually have an understanding about what's really going on. Ultimately, Evelyn meets her daughter, she gets to know her daughter, she basically realizes that it's her daughter that will turn into that multidimensional being, and when you thought things couldn't get any weirder, they just get insane. There's a moment in the multidimension when they both of them, Evelyn and Joy, both of them turn into rocks, and by the way, I really liked their conversation as rocks. There's a moment during the fights when both of them as rocks start moving, and I just burst into laughing with tears in my eyes. Now, I didn't know if that was possible. I didn't think that could happen, but it did. I mean, I was just so overwhelmed. By saying this itself, I'm ruining this for you, and I know that, but I'm extremely sorry, guys. Just watch this movie. This is amazing. I was literally overwhelmed. Now, this is a movie that people should watch. People should definitely give this a watch. This is something that you cannot miss. I mean, try and think about it. Life is difficult enough already, and there is so much to do. And while going after these things, while chasing these things, you sometimes lose sight of the most important things. You lose perspective. We get blinded by our fears and expectations, and it's just everything around us. It's not that we don't know, but wow. I don't really know what I should be saying right now. I guess this movie has literally left me speechless. Believe me, guys, when I say this movie is unimaginably deep and indescribably funny, and both at the same time. Now, what more could you possibly want? Now, if you talk about the technicalities in the movie, everything from the visuals to the sound, the logic of it all to the people, everything as a whole is just brilliant. It is really entertaining and at the same time deep and meaningful. Believe me, after watching this, you will be different. Of course, you have to watch this and understand and not just go through it like any other movie. It's not something that you can just watch while having a popcorn, just something that you can take lightly. At first, it might seem that way, but believe me, it's not. I mean, I was literally crying, and it doesn't happen very often, guys. It gets pretty close to heart, and you will know that when you watch this yourself. Movies like this you can watch multiple times. I've already watched it twice, of course, with a good amount of gap in between. I think people should watch this movie because sometimes there are things that are just so hard to understand, and it's even harder, or rather absolutely impossible, to make someone else understand. This one, though, interprets those things in a really meaningful way. I mean, it's bizarre, it's weird, it's strange, and nothing you have ever seen basically, but then at the end of the day, it's meaningful. It's a brilliant movie, really strange, but presented in a really efficient manner. An absolute must watch. Some bizarre experiences, yes, something really unexpected and out of the blue basically. I have never seen anything like this, and I have watched a lot of stuff. Believe me when I say this, guys, you'll be blown away with this stuff, with the strangeness of it all. But then, like I said, an absolute must watch, absolutely worth your time. Now, there are a bit of spoilers in this movie, like quite a bit of spoilers in this movie, and if I could talk about them, I probably would never end this video. So I'm just gonna pick a couple of things from this movie and talk about them in the spoilers. But guys, please, if you have not watched this movie, then click off this video right now, because this is something that you should watch with absolute surprise, without any knowledge. And I think I will leave a disclaimer at the beginning too, like watch this movie before you watch this entire review, because I might have provided you with some of the spoilers and I don't really want that. So yeah, let's move on to the spoilers. Now, Joy, Evelyn's daughter, she has a fractured mind, and she has this belief that no matter what you do, ultimately nothing matters. This is called nihilism. She has become a nihilist basically, and she has lost any sense of the world, any sense of herself. I mean, why try anything if in the end nothing matters? Now, every dialogue, every logic, every sentence in the movie makes sense, even if it doesn't. Now, I know this sentence is hard to make sense of, but believe me, if I try and explain this to you, I'll be ruining a lot of stuff for you, and I don't want to do that. Now, at first, Evelyn didn't really understand why Joy was looking for her, why Jobu Tupaki was looking for her. Basically Joy, after turning into Jobu Tupaki, she was looking for her, her mother. So it's because in every universe, in every version, all she ever wanted, all Joy ever wanted was to be seen and understood by her mother. All she wanted was to be accepted by her mother exactly the way she is. And when Evelyn finally sees Joy for what she sees and for what she is, she becomes her, she turns into her. She also accepts this belief that ultimately nothing matters. No matter what you do, in the end, it's all just for nothing. And that's the reason why they become rocks. I mean, having to deal with everything, everywhere, all at once, along with the burdens of so many unfulfilled responsibilities and unmet expectations, and having failed and having to live with the realization that maybe the alternate possibility could have been better than this one. It's all a bit too much, and no wonder they turn into rocks, because they don't want to feel anything anymore. They don't want to try anymore. So they become rocks, like literally. But one thing, probably the most important of it all, is that in those moments when we are overwhelmed and all we can see and feel is about us, in those moments we forget that everybody in this world feels the same way. Every fucking person in the world at some point in their life feels the same way. It's the exact same for everyone. They might have different circumstances and different situations, but that feeling of being lonely, even in the midst of the people you love the most in the world, it's the same thing. And I think that's the one thing that makes us all the same. That's another reason actually why we should be kind to others and to ourselves alike. Because no matter how bad or even the worst something is, if you do not really have a better alternative, then what's the point really? And shutting every door, isolating yourself isn't really a better alternative. turning yourself into a rock isn't really a better alternative. If nothing makes sense, then why not make sense of it by giving it meaning? This movie has a hopeful, a very beautiful ending, actually a perfect one. After all, hope is all you have. Hope with the people you love, with the life you have, and it's really important to not lose that hope. Because even if it signifies something that is in the future, that is quite uncertain and cannot be ascertained right now, but still it's something that keeps you going in the present, and anything to give you a motive to drive you in the present is always welcome. Very rarely it happens when something touches you and becomes really special. Now this movie is exactly like that. It's about how feeling alone in a crowd of people who love you and who you love can slowly kill you, like slowly in parts. You know, life is difficult enough already, and being kind to one another is the only way to be okay. And even if you are doing just okay, believe me when I say this, you are doing much better than you could be otherwise. Wow, I guess I talked way more than I originally planned, and this video is going to be really long. But anyway, that's it for today, guys. That's it for this video. I hope you go ahead and watch this movie, because this definitely deserves your attention. This definitely needs to be watched by as many people as possible. So if you go ahead and watch this movie, then do let me know what you think about it in the comments section. I would love to have a chat with you on this. And also do let me know how you liked this video of mine. If you liked it, then give it a like, and also consider subscribing to my channel, because again, that would be really awesome. It will literally make my day. So yeah, that's it for today, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.